Today's video is going to be a little bit shorter because I've already posted a couple of videos on this topic. So I used some other videos to post about this topic so that I can make a pretty short video just going through some of the examples on your paper to make sure you're still getting a head start today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with example number 1 on your paper. Example number 1 on the lesson 7 homework practice says 6x is greater than 12. Just like your other videos suggested, we are still trying to solve this as if it's an equation. We get to solve these the same way as we solve equations, and we did equations last chapter. The idea is I need to isolate my variable. So I'm looking at 6x is greater than 12, and I need to figure out what's my variable and how do I get it alone. Well, the operation showing is multiplication, and we have to talk about, okay, well, if it says 6 times x and I need to get the x alone, what's the inverse operation? Divide by 6. So I need to divide by 6 on both sides. And like you know, 6 divided by 6 is just 1. So we end up with the x alone right there, because it'll be 1x. And then we continue, and 12 divided by 6 is 2. So we end up with x being greater than 2. Now, that being said, we have to graph these as well. And so I'll put a graph together, although they already provide a lovely graph for you, so it's going to be easier for you. But I have to graph this. I've got numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I know that it's greater than, well, like we reviewed yesterday, greater than and less than are open bubbles. We get to put our open bubbles. So I'm going to put an open bubble on the 2 and shade to all the numbers that are greater than 2. And so that's what my final answer should look like. So that was a multiplication equation. There are obviously other types of equations that we could come across. So I'll do one other equation for you as an example. And I'm going to go ahead and do question number 7 for you all. The reason I chose 7 is because it's something that we struggled with the most in our previous lesson. So question number 7 says b divided by 2 is less than 13. So if b divided by 2 is less than 13, that's showing b divided by 2. Again, we need to get the b alone. So the first thing we're going to do to get the b alone is think about what's the inverse operation. So it says b divided by 2. So my inverse is going to be to then multiply by 2 on both sides. And I just show that with a little parentheses on both sides. Okay, but that indicates that those 2's are going to cancel. Because if I'm dividing by a 2 and then multiplying by a 2, that's going to end up being just like 2 divided by 2 is 1. So my b is now alone, and my b is less than whatever 13 times 2 is. 13 times 2 is 26. And then we would graph it from there. The graph on the paper is giving us the values 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28. So I'm not graphing this any different than what you've already got. I only set up the graph the same way that you have that graph on your paper. I have to put, okay, think. It says less than. Is that an open circle or a closed circle? It's an open circle on the 26, and then we're shading all the values that are less than. Now, if all along that had been less than equal to, less than and equal to, then it would include this and we could shade that in the end. But it wasn't less than or equal to, which is why it was an open circle. And that is all we're going to do for right now. Do your best to work on them, and we'll have our video chat from 10:30 to 11:30. Have a great day.